So we've got John. I don't know if there's any questions in the room, Justin, before we hand over to the guys on Zoom. Okay, well then, Dobbo, maybe just from my side, before we let Leighton loose, just a word on Davis and Audrey, what they bring to the team and the milestones, and then the changes.
Yeah, obviously, I think again, I eulogize both of them. I can't actually eulogize Andre because he's a work in progress. We've got a clear policy. The Stormers, the guys who play 50 or 100, don't really want them coming off the bench. You want them to be able to run on and enjoy the experience. So it's a sort of team policy that if they're getting 50 or 100, you start. Divock remarkable. It's getting Brock-esque, isn't it, with the amount of caps, Benatar, Pepillon, us and Western Province. So. He's a great leader. He helps us a lot in the coaching already. Did some coaching in the Currie Cup. Yeah, I'm thrilled for him. I think he's playing fantastic rugby. He puts his body on the line, tactically knows what's going on. Andre is, as I say, a work in progress. What I mean by that is I'm being flippant because he's such a character. You know what I mean? I mean, if I count the amount of times where the referee said, if I hear another word from that guy, always, I think he's employed probably spent the most in legal fees on Adre over the years with a couple of red cards. But he's a special stormer that the guys just gravitate around, and the sabbatical we gave in Japan actually worked out really well. In that they played him at blindside flanker under Steve Hansen, and you can see the physical reconditioning it did him that role, and I think gave him a lot of confidence. Because Steve Hansen sent me a message to say this is a special forward. And I think that he's just come back better. And so we can't take credit for that development, but he's an integral part of this team. And it's a guy we want to keep here forever.
Cool. And then the two flanks are basically, apart from Davies, those are the only changes to the start. And then maybe also just the two props on the bench with Ali and Sazi coming back.
Yeah. So Ali and Sazi will just purely return from injury. I thought we thrilled with those two under 21, or one's under 19, isn't he? Ollie Reed and Zach Porthen. The progress there. So we always thought about what would happen here with life after Kitsi in France. Not that France is gone yet, but to be able to, I feel sorry for the Cheetahs under 21 front row tomorrow when they see that team sheet with Reed, Bacchus, and Porthen. But Ali and Sazi, always seniors, just weren't available last week, and we want to get them back and ready for the tour. And then the flanks, I think, we think both those four. Marcel's amazing. His contribution to the Stormers the last while, and he's better than just being a bench two weeks in a row. So we want to give him a start. And Connor, we think, again, another special forward. We want to keep here forever and just want to get him, if we don't narrow the pool, if we keep the pool narrow, then when he's going to be worse when he comes back. Just we want to get him ready for the tour. And then it does, as you pointed out on the way here, Mike, you could potentially finish with a loose trio, Paul, BJ, and Evan, which is pretty cool. So that's just really rotational. Well, it is rotation.
Last one. Yes, Leighton.
Thanks, Mikey. Hi, Dobbo. Hope you're well. Dobbo, just firstly on the guys, are they in the same mind frame as last week? It can be a tricky thing, staying on that high of that 35-0 and resetting for a new game on Friday.
Yeah, I think it's helped by. No, I think they are. Obviously, they're talking the talk. And we know with these games, it's what happens out there. We would have had this chat a couple of years ago after I think we played La Rochelle, and then we played Ospreys the next week and we'd gone toe to toe with La Rochelle, and we didn't walk the walk. I think there's that less. I think it would be a concern were it not for the fact that we saw how well Ospreys played in Pretoria. We know our record of Ospreys over the last 3 games is a draw, loss. So, there's not much recipe for complacency. I think the feedback from the Leinster was brilliant, but I think on Monday, also with the shorter weeks, I think that Monday the guys were reset pretty well. But I'll say we'll see tomorrow night. But certainly the feeling is one of desperation to back up last week. And it's because you don't want last week to be a fluke. You want that to be who we are. So that's the challenge for the team.
And the other thing is also this will be absolutely vital in terms of momentum for an overseas tour. You know the things about the start of the URC and the tours.
Yeah, to go on, if go on tour, if we were to say we get to this 5-game spell with 4 out of 5, we'd be in a pretty nice position. And if something went wrong on tomorrow, then you'd have to realize we have to win every game on the road to get that goal, if that's our goal. And so it's very, very important from that point of view. Yeah.
And just on the bomb squad, that's a proper bomb squad on the bench. What exactly are you looking for from them?
Yeah, it's going to be. It is a proper. I mean, our pack roster is a really fantastic one at the moment, especially with the sort of when you think about the guys that we perhaps hadn't budgeted for, like the Zacks and the Ollies, and I know they're not playing tomorrow. Paul's also a new one. No, I want I say that was the same loose trio potentially that could be finished, and it started so well against Leinster, and I want exactly the same. You could end up with Ruben and JD at lock. It's the same as it's guys who did the job last week, and I think that's why last week I said it was largely injury. That I think was your question, Lates, wasn't it? I might be
Yeah,
wrong, but
yeah,
it
it
was
was me,
five. It
yeah.
was the 5-3. This week it's deliberate. Not that we have a million other, but JC Mars was available, and he's going to play for the under 21s. But this week we're doing it just to so our pack can have that sort of impact in the last 20 or 30 minutes. I think it worked well for us last week.
And then just on guys like Vern, Adre, who you would normally send up from the bench. They're normally the impact guys, especially Adre. Just um has he charged you for the earring that he pierced you? But just on Adre, what are you looking for from him this season? I know you said you wanted to play more in the starting lineup. So what was that conversation with him like?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's how much. I don't know enough about other rugby, but how much is a South African thing that, or the way we were brought up, that the guy's still 15, starting versus bench, and I understand it because you want to know that you're running on in the first minute, and it's hard as much as we call it bomb squads or finishers or whatever the story is. Guys do prefer to start. And you've got to sell them the plan while they're not, which somebody like BJ and Paul de Villiers have got this week. But Andre is he's old school like that. So he wants to start more games. But what we're looking from him is, look, he's amazingly physical presence. He's probably one of the best sort of, he's almost not quite chalky like Conor Christos in terms of the way he can score from 5 meters out. He carries really well, and he cleans rucks really well. He's got to stay within the law. But he's a classic. I don't want to label him, but he's a classic sort of South African four, like Bucky's like, he wants to get involved in physical conflicts. But what he's got now is he's got the athletic condition to back it up and the work rate.
Thank you.
Nice one, Next is Morgan. Yes, Morgan.
Thanks, Mikey. How's it, Dobbo?
And
Dobbo,
also,
last week you made mention that you're going to have selection headaches going forward with when your young Springboks come back. Taking Sasha's performance last week and Marnie's performance last week, I'm sure when those guys get back into your setup, you're going to be like a kid the night before Christmas, and I'm sure you're really looking forward to getting those guys back ASAP.
yeah, and look, they're going to join us next week, which is great, and that's credit. Oh, not all of them are to explain that now, but credit to them for wanting to join us as soon as possible, especially after what hopefully should be the highs of winning the rugby championship on Saturday afternoon. Marnie won't be back though, Morks. He's gone. He's signed with Japan, so we only got the three at the moment. We've got a couple of injured box like Salman. I don't know if Dion would have been there, but and France and Tux, but Sasha, Corbus, and Damien will be available next week. So that's quite nice for a coach when you watch your fly off play like that, and then knowing he's coming back here. But look, there's going to be a management piece around him, obviously.
Cool, Morgan. Thank you. Stephen is next. Yes, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Mikey. How's it, Dobbo? How are you going?
All right, and you, Steve.
Thanks, fine, thanks. Dobbo, just to get back to Andre, something about him is, do you think it's a big sort of card for you to have a guy with a bit of a mean streak, so to speak? I know he was available previously, but for a guy like that to sort of make a step up in his game and then start a bit more regularly, does he just maybe add something to your forward pack that you think maybe at the latter stages was missing last season?
Yeah, like I said to Leighton, I think the fact that he's in condition, that he's conditioned like he is now, means you got to back it up. You can back it up, with repeated efforts, repeated cleans, doubling up on the cleans, or whatever the story is. But yeah, look, it is nice for us. We I don't want to name names, but sometimes the Stormers, it can be a bit gentlemanly and apologetic, and he's neither of those. He's not the guy you want you see your daughter walk in the room with to bring her home to meet dad. It's not Audrey Smith, you know what I mean, a carnivore. And so it's nice for us to have that. It's nice for us to have that grunt and that meanness in the pack. But I say that the key to Audrey, the two things, is A, the work rate, the ability to redo it, and secondly, to stay within the law, whether that's both physically, because let's be honest, he's got he's been cited once and got a red card once in the semi-final against Ulster, and the other thing is, he can't upset the match officials. But it's very tricky, Bomber, Stephen, that if if you're going to get Mike Tyson to come and come and do an exhibition boxing match, and he bites other blokes' ear off, you can't complain because you got Mike Tyson, if you know what I mean. So it's a bit of a poor analogy, but what I'm saying is that we're asking him to be mean, and then we can't really sort of say, listen, behave yourself completely. It's a bit of a balancing act with him. Obviously, everything within the law, but he's there to lay down a physical marker for us.
Probably another interesting thing is obviously, when you sign a release of a guy like Marnie, you obviously open yourself up for criticism, even though, you've got to do as a coach what you think's the best interest of the organization as well. But at the same time, it looked like Yuri, while he was still himself, I think maybe he showed some good skills as well in that game against Leinster. And you must feel maybe there's a situation there that, Yuri will take a step up this season maybe and not make that big Marnie decision, such a talking point.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think he had a line breaker training on Tuesday, which was Marnie-esque, So I think the work that Darby and Labib have done with him, flattening him up, the stepping, this identification of space is really good. Just on the Marnie point, we did get some criticism, and I understand that we're losing one. But I think there was an article, maybe on your platform, Stephen, when Nas Boyd said the three of the best flavors in the world are in South Africa, in Pollard, Feinberg, Mngomezulu, and Lebok. And the thing with that is, two of them were at one franchise. That's absolutely impossible from us. You as much as one of them can be injured. We saw at the end of last season, Sasha absolutely wants to play 10, and then there's no ways you can justify your second flaff being a world-class flaff. There's no flaff, organization in the world that can afford that. And secondly, because if they are prices too, the world's best flaffs, you can work it out. And secondly, from the player's point of view, they want that security. So you need a guy who's happy to be in a number 2 and step up when we need him, which is going to be half our games. And I think in that we've got Yuri. We didn't want to get rid of Marnie. We'd love to, but it made not sense for him, not sense for the player, and he had the opportunity to change his lives in terms of the amount of money he was offered in Japan. So it wasn't great, but we were never able, I don't think any club in the world could say, even if you chose Marnie, is Sasha going to be happy at 12? No. Is he going to be happy on the bench? No. We can rotate them as much as you want, but when you get to a crunch playoff game or European game, you're going to choose one of them, and that guy's going to know he's number 2, and that impacts his international chances, impacts his earning ability overseas. So it was a very amiable departure. I would love to have had both of them. But also the other thing from our side, from the team club point of view, is that both are always going to be at the Springboks at the same time. I don't think any of them are ever not going to be a Springbok. So that means we've got to have a great home guard fly-off, and I think we're developing that in Yuri. I'm sorry, JL is injured, but Yuri is doing great, making good progress.
And Dobbo, interesting thing that World Rugby sent out yesterday. I think you were also on the committee that arrived at this, player welfare plan. And I haven't quite worked out 100% in my mind how that it will impact at the moment on your player management and Currie Cup and this whole 2-week sort of, the My Players thing and all that. And then, but how does that change things for you, for the better in a way? And it's, I think that 2-week thing was maybe a big frustration for coaches as well?
I reckon the 30 game thing is going. As I said, I sat on the load on the player on that World Rugby what do you call it, forum or council or committee. I don't think the 30 game is going to probably affect not even 5% of the players. I don't really see it affecting a player in South Africa. I think maybe France could be a challenge. We're just looking at if we go deep, 22 games or something like that, 23, if we get to finals of every competition. And the Springboks are playing 15 games, 14, 15. So that's if you think of maximum 38, but of those games, the Springboks won't be playing all our games. So even a Sasha or a Damien, I think could only get to 31, 32 maybe if they're available without any injury. So that might be where we've got to sit them out of a league game because we're heading towards a 30 threshold and we want to make sure that we're available to be playing a playoff that we might not get to. So there is the possibility, Steve, that you could play them out, use all your powder, and then make a final of something, and then they've hit the 30 game threshold. But in our calculations, we reckon there's a 1 in 20 chance of that happening with a player. The second point is, I think for 6 weeks in a row, that's something to be aware of. They can't be in the match day 23, not even 6 full games or starts. But I think practically we manage that anyway. We won't put a guy into battle 6 weeks in a row, but that's something to be aware of. That's probably more of a practical application for us in the South African franchises than the 1 in 30 game thing. The third thing is the resting, and that's, if you work out that the Currie Cup ends the Currie Cup finals the week before the URC starts, you're going to realize there's a challenge there around the Currie Cup because the only time we can rest our URC guys is during the Currie Cup, the 3 week plus the 3 week beer and bri, as they call it, the 2 weeks sort of return to training. That can only happen during the Currie Cup. So that's a challenge for the South African rugby in the competition, and going to be a challenge until you get a global season. It's not a domestic issue.
And that 5 weeks, there's no scattering of that, is there?
No, you can split. Sorry, you can split the 3 and 2. So when you tell the guys they can have it's called beer and bri in the industry. The beer and bri they're very keen on, as we all would be. The 2 weeks return to training. It doesn't have to be. They don't have to be. So it can be 3 plus 2 plus 3 to get to the 8. But you can split them as you want in consultation with the player. So that's how it works. But obviously, you can't take a guy from. Well, you can't take. You're going to make me some chirp about France Maherba, but you can't take a guy from his 3 week beer and bri straight into playing. You aren't allowed to do that, if you know what I mean. But you can split them.
But I think was also, if I'm not mistaken, that you also, if a guy comes back from international duty, you also can't play him straight away. Am I correct? That you have to give him a week off.
No, not that.
Not okay. I understood that.
You're going to have to phone me. You're going to have me phoning Rob Wagner now. But
no. I mean, it might be that I misunderstood. Sorry, I haven't really.
We have done that, Steve, all the time.
Enough.
Yeah, I'm not either. We've done that all the time, and I'd actually maybe I don't want to go scratch that. I'd rather say sorry afterwards. No, but I think it's. I don't think that it's. I think we're allowed to play them next week.
Right. So, do you think that? So you are pleased that you guys are kind of moving in the right direction with this thing? You think that this is a big positive for the game?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Well, the reason I'm saying maybe Sonny, I think it's maybe just from the Stormers or the South African point of view. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference in terms of the amount of players affected by the 30 game rule. I don't think guys are playing 30 plus in South Africa. Ross Tucker, they did a lot of work on this, and they got the data, and they also reckon it's about 5% of the players and then it's going to be 31 games, so he's going to miss 1 game. But I think the players knowing that security and the clarity of the fact that they have to rest rather than just trusting a coach and that they've got rights around this is important. That it's statutory is a good thing. And I think the other good rule that's really come out of this is in the match day 23, because there's a lot of trouble. You're still prepared to play, even if you go on for 5 minutes. And, I think that must count as a match. So I think that's also nice clarity, because sometimes coaches defend and say, oh no, he's only on 140 minutes, but he's gone through the week of training. He's gone through the contact prep. He's gone through being shouted at by me at halftime or whatever the story is. And that's got a psychological toll as well. I think the idea that they can get out of the building and have a rest and away from us is really important. You know, if anything, I would say 3 weeks is lighter. Yeah, I mean, if that's almost corporate. 20, 21 days. I would think it'd be nice, but we do get bye weeks where we send them off, and I suppose some of that could be left up to us. But the fact that it's statutory clear is fantastic, and I think it'll probably have benefit to some of those French guys more than us.
Yeah, I must say, it just sort of again kind of illuminates why 12-month season isn't really the way to go, I guess.
Steve, it's definitely, it's absolutely not. It's not healthy. Also because, you know, you want the players to plan their holidays. They want to know if they're the Currie Cup or URC. Well, if in Currie Cup you're having a holiday now or in December, and also the organizations just grind on, you know, with constant rugby. I mean, I don't feel sorry for Mike de Vries for 1 second. But you know, he looks like this hallowed World War I soldier, because we did see church. I mean, I'm obviously making light of it, but it's the whole year, and I think it's tough on the public, tough on the media. We can promote rugby the whole year round. You know, I just think that 2-month shutdown is so good for the sport, and to get excitement up and everybody recharged and people coming with new ideas. You know, as much as I didn't coach the Currie Cup, you know, you're still watching, planning. It's a challenge, and the international alignment. You know, that we start the URC every time without our Springboks, and they're fully loaded. I know the British and Irish lines are resting. It's a challenge because you want the competition to be like versus like. You know, I don't think you'd see. Sorry, I'm giving you a long answer, but I don't think you'd see what happened last week, where South African URC teams are playing and the Springboks are playing the same day. I'm not sure you'd see that in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm not sure you'd see the Cardiff playing the night before the Dragons play. Wales play in the Arms Park, the stadium next door. We had it up the road in Durban. So just global season, and then it's got. We all know it's got to happen. I just don't know how it happens.
Yeah, Dobbo, I promise this is the last from me, but you know, just speaking to that, it was interesting when I was in Durban, and one of their journalists told me that the Sharks, they hadn't played a game yet, but they didn't have enough guys to almost conduct a proper training session, you know. And it's interesting that you also start off the season with injured players. So maybe there's a lesson in that. And in that breath, can you please just give me an update on, you know, the injured guys, the sort of URC guys, and a return to play date, whether you have more or less in your mind when they will be back?
Yeah, it's curious. That's something we actually going to chat to the Sharks about. Yeah, because we also have too many guys not available from the start. We had 6 guys last week who hadn't played a second. You know, we had the one friendly. We put a couple of guys into the one Currie Cup game, the Boiland game, quite a few. And then there were guys like Netlin Forshire and Ruan Ackerman, Dan du Plessis hadn't played a second last week. So that's a challenge. You know, that's not the best way to prepare guys for a competition. So I can't give you the answer now. It's going to take a long time. As regards the injuries, we're getting better. So nobody out from last week. Then Tuksum Tunu could make the back end of tour. Saman Marat will definitely join us on tour. Who the others? Dion Faris fit again. So I'm just looking at Mike to think. Suleiman's still quite a long term. Warwick will join us on tour. Anybody else who's obvious? The props would be Ali and Sazi have come back nicely now. Ollie Kebble will be available on tour. Scurra is just after tour. The locks are all fit. And so I say someone's joining us. Loose forwards all fit now with Dion back. Scrum offs. Imad is back. Imad's available for tour, which is very, very important for us because we've missed him a lot. We think he's special, and it's great that he can get back on the field now.
Cool. Thanks very much, Dobbo.
Okay.
Sorry about my marathon session there.
No, sorry about my long answers. I'm going to work with wasting your guys' time.
No, thank you, Dobbo. Cheers and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Next is Lloyd.
Jeepers, yeah. No, to be honest, guys, I was going to ask about the World Rugby thing as well, but I think Steve's extensive line of questioning has that more than covered. Thank you.
Long answers as well. Sorry, Lloyd.
No problem, guys. Thanks, Tom.
Okay, you're good. Nice one.
Oh, you won, Lloyd.
JP is next.
Hi, Dobbo. Just quickly wanted to pop in and ask you, what are you going to do different about the breakdown? We spoke on Friday about the defense last year. It was a challenge. Defense obviously was a lot better. But the breakdown, a lot of occasions last year, we spoke about it, penalties conceded, not reacting quickly, and that obviously starved your attack. Just breakdown for you, just from your perspective, what are you going to do? What have you done differently, or what have you zoomed into just to get a different result this year?
Yeah, I think what was pleasing about last year, I know what you're saying about the penalties, but we were the fastest ball in the whole URC, which is where we want to go. The problem with generating such fast ball is it's at the risk, as you probably suggesting, sometimes a guy getting isolated, so a holding penalty.
Yeah.
The ball spot 8, you know what I mean? And there's a turnover because our policy is to get past we want to generate as faster ball as we can. So we don't worry about sort of I know you're a coach, Jab, so you understand. We don't understand about we don't want to park over the ball. We don't have to scrum off to clear it through legs. So it's a bit of a risk and reward. So we're getting really. I thought last week we got exceptionally fast ball. It was too. So we're going on the speed, but it comes at a price, and I'm not sure we're going to change policy. So you would have seen there's one. I can't remember who made the break, but then Evan cleared and it hit his foot and it bounced off and Leinster turned it over just in the 22 year.
Yeah, you don't want that.
That was the only one turnover. I think we're going to be challenged tomorrow with Ospreys. They're one of the better poaching teams in Dowie Lake.
Correct.
So that's whereas it wasn't the challenge last weekend. So we'll find out more to answer your question, I think, tomorrow. But our policy is always to generate as fast as possible, but does come at a risk. I mean, we saw the try last. One of the things you're probably thinking of was the try last year. Who Aka van der Merwe, remember? We went past the ball, Aka ripped it and went 60 yards and scored. But I don't want to give up the speed. It's just how we react to it. So it's a risk. It's a risk and reward one. But let's be a better answer tomorrow night.
No, and then just the last one. The reason why I'm asking you about the breakdown, man, a guy like Kobus Reinig coming in from the box. How massive is he? Because I mean, with his pace around the fringes, and just decision making, physicality, experience. Because everybody always speaks about the 10, and we speak about Mani and Sasha, and we speak about Gaza, and now with Yuri. But if your 9 doesn't make good decisions, like your tech is still going to struggle.
Yeah. I think, run our breakdown policy, it's pretty much the 9s are going to get in there, tidy it up and get it out. But I think if you ask them, they would also prefer it because they don't want to see a 10, 20, those first 3 defenders set. So, and a guy like Kobus with his speed, if he gets really fast ball and defense is still setting or there's a half gap, he's through. So, look, we think he's going to be, and I think Imi is very much in that category as well, these instinctive players. So, but I think you did right. Almost, something we haven't got right at the Stormers at the moment is this balance between, I suppose, the core scrum off job. We've had Paul de Wet, who was completely instinctive, Herschel completely instinctive. You've got Diewald and Stefu, very much the game controlling 9s, aren't they?
Yeah.
And, I'm hoping with Kobus that we get a bit of both, which is probably what we need. So we'll chat to him about the breakdown. He might say to us, listen, you guys have been... But to be fair, and James, you would have seen it as well, the Springboks have also changed their breakdown over the last 2 years. They're much more open side placement, getting past the ball. Before they were very almost Australian with the way they parked on every breakdown. And relied on their sides to get momentum. Now they really are generating faster balls. So we'll see.
Yeah, because I think just to conclude, so on the breakdown, because sometimes like all options go, some people I see the box also playing like this now. Like Peter Steph the Tour is coming there, he's picking up, he's keeping the momentum, he's cutting the dynamic rack. So I just think, and I mean hence the reason for asking about Kobus, I think, what a great recruitment, because if you rather want a guy to have more options than having slow ball and running backwards. So I think, that's the thing that I'm looking forward to see. And you're speaking about making Cape Town smile, but when you guys have the ball on the front foot, Adre them is doing well, Sasha them gets the ball on the front foot, Gaza, Warwick. I mean, that's what we want to see, man.
Yeah, you did right. That's why I'm stressing speed of ball, but it sometimes comes at a price of security. And that's why the challenge is tomorrow, because they're a good poaching team. So let's see. But you spot on. That's our model. That's where we want to get to.
Thanks, Dobbo. Good luck there.
Thanks, JP.
Thanks, JP. Okay, we end with Nathan. Here we go.
Good day. Oh, would be nice. Dobbo, good day. Dobbo, obviously, you touched on the breakdown from Ospreys, but Ospreys obviously had a game against last week against the Bulls. What are you expecting from them? Because obviously they gave them a scare early on in the game and it was a high scoring encounter last week against the Bulls.
Yeah, as I say, the team we drawn, lost. They've got amazing fight in them. They don't go away. I think what I said, the breakdown, massive challenge for us tomorrow. And I think I don't know if Jack Morgan's here or not, but
No, Jack Morgan didn't travel.
did he travel? Okay, but Morgan Morse Moriarty's a tough forward. Greaves, Heaves, I pretty mispronounced the open side's name, but he's a very good seven. He scored a try against us here when they beat us 2 years ago. And then their attack's quite sophisticated. In the wide channels, they got a lot of options there, whether it's attacking grabbers, nice stack attack. So we're expecting a breakdown threat. We're expecting them to try and move us a little bit into that wider channel. And I say, our record is, it's one of the few teams that we've got a negative record against the competition. So it gives us something to get our teeth into this week after last week, sort of maybe not exaggerated high.
Sorry, last question, Dobby, for me. What do you make of Wales rugby at the moment? Because I mean, I've seen so far they've recruited a lot of former professional players in their teams. Like now with Ospreys, they have James Hook, the former flower for Wales. I mean, what do you make of Wales rugby, and what could we expect from Wales this season?
Look, I think they're going to be challenging for us because they're fighting. We had it at the Stormers a few years ago when you were in administration. They've got off the field issues, and I know that nothing motivates a player like a desperation, and they're desperate for their. I think if I was an Osprey or a Scarlet, or a Dragon or whatever, I wouldn't want them to close my club, and I'd fight for that. A, for my family and my contract, and secondly, just for the pride in the club. So desperation is always one of the biggest motivators in rugby, and so I think there will be more fight. I think they've. Look at some of the guys have signed pretty well. Like a guy like Paul Moriarty, who we've got massive respect for. He's a really physical forward. He can come into Ospreys, tightens them up. I look at some of the Dragon signings. I think to quote their own poet, Dylan Thomas, is from Swansea, where the Ospreys are. Don't go gently into that good night. They're going to fight. And I think they will see from some of the narrative that they thought last week they were undercooked at altitude against the most physical team in the competition. So they obviously would say they're coming to sea level against a team that's less physical, that they've got a really good record against. They can lay down a statement of winning in South Africa to show that their team should exist in the future. So I think there are lots of threats to us in that respect tomorrow. I think the Welsh will put up a reasonable campaign the whole season.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. We got through in the end, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.